Now let's go ahead and end it off with the performance. This device, as most of you know, has that Qualcomm Snapdragon 865G chipset, an octa-core CPU, an Adreno 650 GPU, and 8 gigs of RAM. Now this phone only had one model on it. It was the 8 gig of RAM option, so it didn't have like some 12 gig of RAM option or anything like that, only one model, and that was kind of a disadvantage for this specific phone. Like I mentioned, when you get a phone like this, you want it to be as perfect as possible. And this specific device, it was great, but I think when you compare it to the Note 20 Ultra, that one was just that much better of a device, and I think that was something to definitely keep in mind. I think, for the basic tasks of this specific phone, perfectly fine. You're going to get a really good performing phone from this thing per the basic tasks of this device. When you take it up a notch, you do those mid-tier tasks, it may take a little bit of a toll, but I think for a majority of people out there, you're going to have a really good time with this specific device in that standpoint as well, which is another thing to keep in mind as well. So again, that's another pretty big thing about this phone. The only area, where I would probably recommend you to kind of double check is the RAM. I think 8 gigs of RAM on this phone is fine, but when you look at, the next generation, you look at the Note 20 Ultras and you look at even the past generation with the Note 10 Plus, some of those models did go up to, higher variants than 8 gigs. And I think that's something that's kind of strange. You look at the S20 Ultra, those phones have some crazy specifications. I think this phone is also pretty good, but it could use a little bit of an improvement, and I think that's all I'm saying. So I think when it comes down to the performance standpoint, I think it's a very good performing phone. Obviously, it's still not even a year old yet, but I wish it did take a little bit of a, improvement when it came down to the performance, when it came down to the RAM specifically. I wish it had like a 12 gig of RAM option, because this isn't a bad phone, this isn't a cheap phone, but they really cheaped out in some areas. Other than that, this phone is a really good performing phone, and I think it kind of covers up there. So to kind of